Okay, good morning, everybody. So imagine that you guys are a freelancer, okay? And you're getting a client, let's say a local restaurant, that asks you to build their branding website, but they also want you to build some scheduling systems where customers can come and schedule a table in a head. So you spend some time, you develop that, all good. 3 months later, you get another client. This time is a local car dealership. So again, they want you to build a branding website, but they also want to have some system to schedule test drives, right? So potential customers can come and test the drive. After half a year, you get another customer. This time it's a local motel, and they want you to have a complete booking system, and again with some schedule mechanism. So you start to think, wait, I see that there is a repetitive need for this custom special schedule system. And every time I basically write the whole thing from scratch, maybe reuse some code, maybe I can just wrap it into a plugin, right? And the next customer that comes in, I can just change the settings, maybe customize it a little bit, and then reuse the same thing. But wait, there are a bunch of restaurant websites all over, and there are many freelancers in the world. Maybe there are others that would like to use that. Okay, so you say maybe I should go and upload it to WordPress.org and see, contribute to the open source so others can use my code. So you go to WordPress.org, you read the guidelines, you spend an hour, almost give up, but you really want to contribute to open source, right? So eventually you are persisting with that and you upload your plugin to WordPress.org. If everything goes as planned, you get an email after a day, after a week. Congratulations, your plugin was accepted. Right? So you're all hyped, woo! You're an official contributor to the open source. And something magical happens after that. Right? Time goes by and you start to receive support tickets on a support forum. People are starting to ask you for new features, bug reports, and you're all getting excited about that, and people starting to use your product. And it turns naturally as your hobby project, right? And after a year, you realize that you have thousands, maybe tens of thousands of users, and you say to yourself, I don't really enjoy doing freelancers, always doing the same stuff. And I'm really passionate about this side project. Maybe I can take that and turn it to my main thing, right? And turn it to my day job. So you take a pen and paper, right, or your notepad, and you start to write all the things that you need in order to turn this code into commercial solution, right? So you need a name, you need a domain, you need a hosting. That's the easy parts. But how people will know about my paid offering? Do I need to know marketing? Right, but I'm just a developer. I don't know how to market. So I need a blog and I need to accept payments. So I can go to PayPal, it's relatively easy, but wait, what about EU VAT? That's a big headache. So there's a whole long list of things that you need to take care of when you're going from a code into actually trying to monetize your project. And if you're persisting, you're eventually going to establish your business and start doing that, but it will take you 3 to 5 years to actually understand the things that you're doing and really be fluent in the business world. So the goal of this presentation is basically whether you're already monetizing, already have a business, or will ever have, or just considering, to give you all these tips and best practices that it usually gets 5 years to learn them. So my name is Vova Feldman. My story is very similar. Back in 2010, I started this side project called Rating Widget. In 2013, me and another guy joined forces, and we spent a year of full-time work taking Rating Widget and turning it into a fully commercial solution. And it worked pretty well. We started to make money. We built this growing subscription-based business. But what was really interesting to learn, right, is that the core product didn't change at all. Okay, it remained the same Rating Widget that I built in 2 weekends of my spare time back in 2010. So the disproportion between building a product, especially in the open source world, to actually turn it into a commercial solution kind of blew our minds. And this is how we started with Freemius. So Freemius is a complete monetization solution for WordPress plugin and theme developers, helping developers to achieve what took us a year, basically in a matter of minutes. So I'm coming from the perspective of the business owner, right, of Rating Widget, and also from Freemius, where we support hundreds of plugins and themes that monetize through Freemius. So let's start with some terminology. So we will all be on the same page regarding the things that I'm saying. So we have WordPress, which is kind of the engine with the wheels. That's the basic thing. It can drive, but you probably don't want to drive on this. We have themes, which is like the exterior part, okay, of a car. So you can have the same engine, same wheels, but different exteriors. We have plugins, which is like extensions, are not essential, right? You can ride a car without a stereo system, but it's way better to ride a car when you have great music in the background. And we have add-ons, which is extensions on top of plugins, which is speakers in our case. And another two terms is the difference between a store and a marketplace. So store is one place where you go, you can buy different products, but it's all by the same brand. While if you go to a marketplace, you can buy different products from multiple brands. So in the car dealership example, you can see that in the marketplace, there are Mazda, BMW, Ford, etc. While if you go to Mazda store, you can buy different Mazda cars, but it's still Mazda. So let's talk about the difference of selling plugins versus selling themes. So the first one is kind of the skill set that people have. If you go for plugins, it's usually more technical and you need to be more developer oriented. Okay, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to study computer science. In fact, many of the WordPress product businesses are created by self-taught developers and designers. But on the other hand, if we go for themes, you have to be passionate about design, right? Because if you don't really care or don't understand design, it's not a good idea to go for themes because the number one reason or decision making for customers before they buy a theme is how the theme looks like. The biggest advantage of the themes market is that it's 7.4 times larger than the plugins market. So potentially you can build 7 times larger business, okay, in theory. And the reason for that is because every business website needs a premium theme. And the reason for that is companies, okay, freelancers, agencies, those are the typical theme buyers. They care about their branding. They want to be unique. Okay, so there are two options to be unique. One option is go pay to some agency, right, to Carlo, for example, and he will build you a custom website, but it will cost tens of thousands of dollars. That's option one. Option two is go and buy a $50, $100 theme, customize it, change the pictures, the logo, the look and feel a little bit, and you're relatively unique. If you go to a free theme, right, there are thousands of other websites that are going to use the same theme, and that's not professional as a business owner. Because of that, the themes market is really saturated. There's a lot of competition because of the potential, and it's relatively easier to get into the themes world because there's a very structured way to build themes, and we're going to mention that. Because there is more competition, obviously, themes are becoming like a commodity, so the prices for themes are cheaper. So the average sales price for a plugin is higher. If you are going for the freemium model, which we're going to discuss in the future, then the queue on WordPress.org, which is the most popular plugin and themes catalog in WordPress, are significantly longer for themes. You will need to wait 3 to 6 months in order to get your product approved. While with plugins, it can be a day, maybe a week. Plugins are significantly more flexible. This is what I mentioned before. There is very structured way how you're supposed to build themes. In fact, if you go to the themes guideline and read everything, you will be a theme developer. And then it's a matter of how you design the theme. While with plugins, especially in WordPress, you can do anything you can imagine. Right? So in terms of the functionality, you have significantly more creativity with plugins. Because of that flexibility, you're going to have more support load with plugins, and you'll need to have more maintenance. Now I'm going to talk about the difference between selling niche products to selling mass market products or generic products. So just an example, a niche product could be a real estate theme, right? So yes, there are many real estate themes, but it's definitely not most of the websites. On the other hand, a mass market product could be a security plugin, right? It doesn't matter whether you have a real estate websites, a restaurant websites, or just a blog. Every website needs security. So that's a mass market product. So the good thing with mass market product, you don't need to reinvent anything. You can just go look at the leaders in the market and do whatever they are doing and try to do it better. The downside is the market already have pretty much established players in each vertical. So getting started is kind of harder. When you build a niche business, most likely you will not be able to build a large business. You can still build a lifestyle business, okay, which means that you can still be your own boss, schedule your own timing, maybe work while you travel, sustain your family, etc. But don't expect to make more than 100, 150K a year. Again, it's generalization. When you go with mass market solution, then obviously you have a larger market and potentially can build significantly bigger company. As narrow as you go, okay, it's easier and cheaper to market. It's cheaper to do advertisement because there are less competition and less people competing on the same ad placements, on the same keywords in search, etc. And in terms of marketing, it's easier to market when you know your user really well. So you can craft a really good marketing content for your users. When you go niche, you don't necessarily need to compete on price, especially if there are only a few alternatives to you. So you can charge higher prices for your product. Now we're getting to the fun part of this presentation. So let's talk about business models. And first of all, I want to show you this 2-minute video by Professor Don Ariely. He has really great books that I highly recommend. That talks about psychology, behavioral economics, etc.
Free, of course, is a very, very exciting price. We see people doing all kinds of crazy things, or seems to be crazy things for free. We see relatively wealthy people stand a long time in line to get free Ben & Jerry's ice cream or get something for free. And you can ask yourself, would the same people stand in line for the same amount of time to get free, $2.25? Most likely not. We see sometimes people in flights, cross-Atlantic flights where the alcohol is free, is drinking lots and lots of alcohol on those flights, of course making their ability to recover from the hangover, from the jet lag, much, much lower. There's all kind of things that seems to be questioning our ability to think rationally when free is involved. But these are not exact tests of this idea, so we tried to examine it in a more precise way. So imagine I gave you the following. I said, look, you can have this truffle, this wonderful chocolate truffle, for 25 cents. Or you can have this small little candy for 1 penny. How are you, and you can have only one of the two. How should you look at this choice? You should say, what's the benefit of this truffle? How much joy am I expecting to get? How much cost does it have? 25 cents. And how much joy am I expecting to have from this small candy, and how much cost does it have? 1 cent. So in reality, when you're given a choice between the two, you should say, what the difference in price is 24 cents. How is the difference in price compared to the difference in quality? If the difference in quality is larger, then you should say, let's get the expensive truffle. If the difference in quality is not worth the price difference, you should say, let's get the cheap chocolate. Now what happened when you give people this choice? Most people, the vast majority said, give me the better truffle for more money. But what if we reduce both prices by 1 cent? Instead of, let's say, 25 and 1, it's 24 and 0. What happens now? It's the same computation should carry out. What's the difference in price? 24 cents. What's the difference in quality? The same thing. Which one is larger? But that's not what happened. Now most people go for the one for free. Most people say, oh, this one is free, and they just go for it almost everybody. Now, you could say, well, you know, when something is free,
Okay, so as you can see, people act irrationally when they see free stuff. So this is a great segue to the two optional business models, how you can sell plugins and themes in WordPress. So one model, which we call the freemium, is basically you get something for free, right? A teaser, it could be a functional product, but it's not the whole package. If you want to get the whole package, you need to pay money for that. On the other hand, we have the premium model, which is, if you want the whole cake, right, full of sugar, everything that you want, you need to pay from day one. So we're going to discuss about the benefits of one model over another. So the benefits of freemium is it's significantly easier to get started, right? As Don Ariely mentioned, people think differently when they see free stuff. They don't calculate the cost. So you're going to get more users to try a product. As simple as that. Another good reason is you're going to have more users to try a product, and people are talking with each other, right? You came to this conference, you're going to meet your friends, and you're going to discuss and share products that you're using, right? So if you have a good product, and that's the goal, right, more people are going to talk about that. And it's important to build your initial credibility when you're getting started. Another good and bad thing is that you're going to get way more feedback for free. Again, more users, more feedback, as simple as that. That's a great thing when you're just starting because you want to improve your product, iterate, understand your users and customers as much as you can. The thing is, once you grow, right, it's becoming an overhead. Because you already figure out most of the small things, and now you have a lot of support load. A good thing about freemium is you can generate more leads. Okay, so if you distribute your free version on your own website, every time someone clicks the download button, you can ask them for their email, right? And later on, you can push them to your marketing funnel and start promoting them the premium version. If you have a freemium product, you can leverage the free distribution of WordPress.org. So I'll explain a little bit about WordPress.org. WordPress.org is kind of the official catalog of WordPress plugins and themes. The reason it's the most popular and it's the best way to distribute a free product is if you go to Google and search for plugins on themes, most likely you're going to find results from, the top results going to be from WordPress.org because that's the official kind of authority by Google for WordPress. On the other hand, if you go to your WP admin dashboard and you search for plugins and themes inside, the results are coming from WordPress.org. Right? So most of the distribution is coming from this free catalog. And if you have a free product, you have the privilege, basically, to distribute a product there. Downside of premium is users can't really taste your cake. Okay, they need to put some money in order to taste it. So there are ways to solve that, and we're going to discuss that. So you can offer trials for a product, you can offer a money-back guarantee period, but in general, users can really try a product without paying. Premium requires an established brand. Okay, if no one knows you, it's kind of hard to put the credit card information or PayPal for an unknown brand, especially if you have other competitors which are more known. On the other hand, premium is great if you are the only solution in the market, right? Because you can set up the prices, you're the only one. And this is the picture is an Espresso, that's the company. So they had a patent on the coffee capsules for many years, which recently expired. So they were the first on the market and the only solution in the market. So they could set up the prices. Talking of prices, how should you price your product? So pricing is based on 3 simple techniques. First of all, research your competition. Okay, look on other people doing similar stuff and see how they price their product. And it's important to mention that it's different between a store and a marketplace. So if you are going or thinking to sell in a store, compare yourself to other products that's selling on a store. If you're going to sell on a marketplace, then compare yourself to other products in the same marketplace, because the dynamics and the price ranges are very different. Second, you need to try to quantify your product's value. Okay, you need to ask yourself, how much money do you save to your customers, or how much money do you make them? Same thing with time. Do you save time to your customers? And how much? Okay, there are e-commerce plugins that literally help the store generate thousands, tens of thousands of dollars a year. So in this case, if you can convey that message and explain why, charging $200 for a plugin, it's a no-brainer, because it's going to return the money on investment. And the third one is you need to calculate your costs and overhead. So software is a dynamic thing. It's not something that you just sell once, right? And that's it. People use it for life. WordPress is constantly evolving. There are bugs, security stuff, whatever. And your product is also evolving over time. So you're building more features, resolving your bugs, and obviously you have support, right? So if, for example, you see that on average, for every customer that you get, you need to spend an hour of support, and you quantify your hour of work as $50, then if you sell your product for $50, you're literally losing money or break even, okay? Which doesn't make sense. So you need to calculate your costs. And what's really important, and many people in our community forget, is that pricing is a dynamic thing. It's constantly evolving. So you need to always experiment with your prices in order to optimize this equation, right? Number of customers versus the price of your product. The best case is having the least customers as you can that pay you as much as they can. So you need to optimize this equation. Now we're getting to the subscription-related stuff. So the difference between recurring payments to one-time purchase, and I like to explain the difference by using a friend's analogy. So think about your business as a bucket, okay? And you're constantly adding liquid, or water, whatever, into that bucket, which is the new customers that you're acquiring, right? The problem with one-time purchase business is your bucket has holes, right? Because if today you are stopping all your marketing, eventually the water will go out and you don't have no money. While with recurring payments, it's like plugging most of the holes. So yes, some people will still cancel the subscriptions, okay? But if you stop with adding more fluids into your bucket, you're still gonna have liquids remaining and slowly going down, right, from the previous customers. So there's mainly benefits in the recurring business model, almost no downsides. The first one is you're going to get a higher customer value, lifetime customer value. So if with one-time purchase you sell your product for $100, then you're going to get $100 from that user. most likely they won't go and manually renew another license to get a support, etc. When you have recurring payments with automatic renewals, some users, okay, depends on the product, but most likely, most of the users will continue paying. So you can get $200 from the same user, maybe $300, right? So the customer lifetime value is higher. Recurring payments business is significantly more predictable. Exactly because of the reasons that I mentioned. You know how many existing subscription or customers you already have, and you can predict based on previous data how many of them will renew, right? While when you have a one-time payment business, it's not resilient to changes. So I'll give you a drastic example, and this is something that happened. It's like real stories, basically. Let's say that most of your traffic and distribution is based on Google search. Okay, so this is how you acquire users and customers, etc. And suddenly there is a change in Google's algorithm, which happens all the time. And this change, for some reason, significantly affected on your website, and your website disappeared from search results. If you're doing one-time purchase, you practically, that's it. Your business is done. You need to figure out some other way how to start generating money. If you have workers, employees, you don't have money to pay their salaries right now. While with recurring payments, you're more resilient to these changes. You're not immediately losing all your money. The downside, it's not really a downside, is you have to constantly show an ongoing value, right? If you want your users to continue paying you money, you need to show them that you're working on the product, supporting them well, building more features, etc., etc. So I don't say that a lifetime license is a bad thing, and I'm going to show you why. Okay, but I'm just saying that you need to incorporate them together. So based on the US Bureau of Statistics, only 44% of businesses will exist after 4 years, will stay in business after 4 years. Another data point is that most websites don't survive for more than 5 years. So if we incorporate these two data points together, most likely your typical customer, which is small business in WordPress, won't be in business after 5 years. So if we're going to price our lifetime license as 3 to 5 times the annual one, okay, we're basically getting all the potential from that specific customer from day one. And that's a good thing. How about selling monthly subscription? Right, so some of you maybe look at me and say, Vova, are you mad? Okay, we're in WordPress here. But I want to show you an experiment that we've conducted. So my background is startups and software as a service, and when we started with Rating Widget, we had monthly option from day one. This is our prices. So the monthly was $9, $8 for annual, and $300 for the lifetime license. After being involved a little bit in the WordPress community, we said, okay, maybe we're missing something. Let's try experiment to do it the WordPress way. Okay, monthly is kind of not the WordPress way yet. And this is what we've done. We eliminated the monthly plan at all. The lifetime remained exactly the same, and the annual also remained the same, but we changed the price to the annual representation, right? The 95.88. And this is what happened. We ran this experiment for 2 weeks, and we lost $2,000, okay, in new customers acquisition. So $2,000 can be a small number, it can be big, depends on your volume. In our case, it was more than 50% loss in new customers acquisition, which is crazy. And what was really interesting, okay, on top of that, is that we had more annual sales when we had the monthly option. So I kind of started to question the whole, monthly, annual, and I decided to start a poll. So I went to the Advanced WordPress Facebook group. Most of you are probably members. If not, you should, because it's a great group. And this is why I ask. If you had two options for a WordPress plugin, $10 a month or $120 a year, both with automatic renewals, which option would you choose? And this is the numbers. This is the result. 67.5% prefer to pay monthly. Okay, and this is more than 180 votes. So I think, based on the research and the poll and the numbers, that monthly together with annual is actually an awesome model. And those are the reasons why. So first of all, when you have the two options, monthly and annual, you can show your prices in a monthly increment, right? And $8 is significantly lower number than $95. So the decision, the psychological decision of a consumer is way easier to see $8. It's like 2 cups of coffee a month. So it's not a biggie, but when you see $95 right away, it's like, ooh, that's a big number. Secondary, monthly is kind of a decoy for the annual plan, because usually you offer some discount for the annual billing cycle because you want to encourage more people to pay you in advance. So if a person already know that they want to use your product, they will go for the one with the discount because this is the way we work, okay? On the other hand, it's also great because, especially if you go for the premium product, okay, people can try your product for the friction of the price without the whole commitment. And I know there are some people that don't like to commit to anything, and monthly is psychologically easier decision for them because they can always get out from the deal. And the last but not the least, it's probably the most important, is that monthly subscriptions are way more predictable, sustainable, prosperous, and all the good stuff than annual. Because with annual, in order for you to become data-driven and really understand your numbers, you need to wait at least a year until you start seeing how many people cancel the subscriptions, how many people continue with the subscription, while with monthly, you see it right after 1 month of increment, which is great. So it's harder to start with monthly because it's a lower amounts per sale, but it's significantly more predictable. The thing is that monthly is not always a good fit. It's not a good fit for every product. So you need to ask yourself 3 questions. 1, is your product mainly used for long periods or short periods? 2, is it becoming better over time, like good wine? And 3, how hard is it to switch to a competing product? So if your product is mainly used for short periods, it doesn't become more valuable over time. The user is not vested into the product. And it's really easy to switch to a competing product, then you should not go for monthly because your monthly basically going to be abused. So this is kind of my pricing recipe. It fits most of the products in the WordPress ecosystem, not all of them, but most of it. So the monthly should be $4 to $30, the annual $3 to $20, and the lifetime, as I mentioned, 3 times the annual one. So the 99s are actually important because in terms of psychological reasons, people tend to convert better when they see this, more 9s. So free trials. The benefits of free trials, especially if we're looking on a premium model, is that you get a free lead generation, right? You're giving something which costs money for free for some trial period. You can ask for the email back. This is one. Secondary is that trials conversions are significantly much higher. And this is based on data that we collected from Freemius. We have many plugin theme businesses that are doing trials. So without a payment method, trial without a payment method, when you just ask for an email, the conversion rate there is almost 19%. So it means that 19 people out of 100 who will start a trial will most likely become your customers. If we do ask for a payment method, okay, the numbers are just significantly, it's like crazy, okay? Almost 70%. 7 out of 10 people who started a trial with a payment method, so they did type the credit card, but it didn't charge them, okay, 7 out of 10 will become eventually customers. And if you're looking outside of WordPress, for example, Netflix, okay, that's the only way to subscribe and start using Netflix. They don't have other option. The thing is, yes, if you go for trials with a payment method, you're going to have less people try a product because they still need to type their credit card. Should you offer a free trial period? Again, same questions. Okay, if your product is mostly used for longer periods, it becomes more valuable over time and it's harder to switch, then yes, because you're giving something that the user is getting vested into, so they will want to continue using the product. Should you offer support during the free trial? That's a good question, right? You're going to get significantly more users trying the product when you have a free trial. Do you need to support them? And the answer is yes. Okay? The answer is yes, because if a user who started trial reaching out for support, it means that they're actually evaluating your product right now. Okay, it means that you have a chance to show them that not only you have a great product, you have a great support. So, in my opinion, you should actually prioritize them over your existing customer. How bad it may sound bad, but that's the truth, because you can get more customers that way. Where and how to sell. Okay, now that we know the business models, how to price the product, trials or no trials, there are 3 ways to sell your products. Okay, there is 2 ways, marketplace versus self-hosted, and the benefits of the marketplace is you're getting a complete payments and fulfillment system, right? You don't need to accept payments and the download link to the users. All this engine is already ready. Marketing is done for you on a marketplace, right? So if you're a developer and you don't really won't care about marketing, that's a good way to go, or a bad way to go, because you are relying on the marketplace success of marketing your product. The downsides are that you're going to pay high fees. Okay, the fees on marketplaces on WordPress are 30 to 70%. Another downside is you don't have access to your customers' data. So you're kind of locked in. So if you want to start a new product, and even if you already have 1 million customers, you're kind of starting from scratch. Another downside of marketplaces is the race to the bottom in terms of pricing. As larger the inventory of the marketplaces, there are more products, there are more people that have to compete on price. So naturally you see more and more products are priced in a cheaper prices. And the main reason for that is because of the difference, because of the internet, okay? So you have on the same marketplace sellers from expensive cities and other sellers that live in developing countries in some village. So the cost of living is very different. So when someone in a village, okay, can make $5 as a margin from their product, someone who lives in New York and need to pay $4,000 for the rent, right? It's just not feasible. But they're on the same marketplace, and it's a matter of click. And we as users tend to go for the cheaper prices. So that's one of the reasons we see this race to the bottom. Another big problem, right, I'm talking about the subscription economy, recurring payments. In the current marketplaces, there is no support for recurring payments. So it's all with one-time payments, which is a big downside. Self-hosted store. So when you build your own store, you also get to build your own bread. Okay, it's good and bad. It's bad because it's hard. It takes time and it takes some experience, but it's good for the long term because eventually you want people to know your brand, especially if you're considering to have more products in the future. Another important thing is you get to keep the whole pie, or most of it, which is usually the 3% gateway fees. The average price of a self-hosted store products are usually higher. Again, because of that reason of the race to the bottom and the ease of comparing products within a marketplace. The downside is that you need to take care of the whole monetization engine. Okay, so it means that you will need to take care of payments, subscriptions, product fulfillment, software licensing, updates, etc., etc. This is on you. If PayPal changing their API tomorrow, they have bugs, you're the one that need to take care of that. And it happens all the time. Also, there's the European Union VAT madness. So in 2013, the European Union changed the rules regarding VAT. So for digital goods, there is no minimum limit right now. and you need to charge the VAT based on the country of your customer, not based on your country. So in every, okay, perfect. So in every country, you need to charge different rates. So if you run your own store, you need to take care of that madness, which means collecting this data, validating VAT IDs, submitting taxes, etc. And there is the third option, which is a reseller, which is kind of the best of both worlds. You can still sell from your own website. There is no data lock-in. You have access to your customers. The EU VAT is handled by the reseller. You don't need to maintain an e-commerce, it's just a website, and you get a whole monetization engine behind it. The downside is that your success is on your hands, or it could be also an upside. Depends on your capabilities to market, and the fees are slightly higher, which is 7 to 10%. So those are the popular monetization solutions. Marketplace, we have CodeCanyon for plugin, ThemeForce, and Creative Market for themes. Self-hosted solutions, we have WooCommerce, that it's a generic e-commerce solution, it's gigantic, and as Raitis mentioned, it's the most popular e-commerce in the world. We have easy digital downloads for selling digital goods. It could be plugin themes, but also PDF files, songs, whatever, digital stuff. And a reseller, Freemius, is focused solo on WordPress plugins and themes. So if there's one thing that I want you to remember from this presentation, is that if you're running a business or considering to run a business in the future, you should definitely think about recurring payments and subscription, because that's the way to build sustainable businesses. So my name is Vova Feldman. Thank you. You can find all the information from this presentation in this bit.ly WC Riga 2017. And I don't know if I have time for questions. Do I?
You have 3 minutes.
3 minutes. Okay. Thank you. Yes.
So you said your main product was a ratings plugin. So how do you justify taking money from people every month for a ratings plugin?
You don't need to justify that.
What are the features basically in the plugin that made you kind of?
Yeah. So as more ratings as you get, it's harder to switch to something else, right? Because you accumulated ratings, right? And now if you want to switch to a different solution, then suddenly you're losing your previous data. So that's the reason why it's becoming more valuable over time. Switching to a competing product becomes harder because of that reason. Okay, so users don't think that way. I mean, the typical users of WordPress are not people in WordCamps. They're just, someone have a company, he needs a plugin or a theme, they go online, search for something, and start using that. We all used to pay monthly outside of the WordPress ecosystem, right? So why wouldn't I pay monthly for ratings, for example? Any other question? No? Okay, perfect. Thank you.